Tucker's first saddling.
Has he worn any of this?
No, he's not had anything put on his back other than a blanket so far.
Okay.
And he's had me lay across him.
Okay.
So we're gonna try to get some equipment on him now. Here, look, the camera's right there. Say hi. So this is Tucker. He's 3, just turned 3 on the 29th of March. So we're gonna start his under saddle program now. And he's never worn anything on his back, so we're going to try to get a saddle on him today and see how far we can go from there. He's pretty easy as far as acceptance of things. I've had him since he was born, so there's a good chance he's not going to care about a bit of it, but we're going to see what we can get done. Fine. Follow that feel. So he's a little of a bulldozer, so he kind of does his own thing, so we're going to have to get him a little more focused with us. And honestly, this probably will do it. Hopefully this is the smaller ear. It might be a smaller ear.
I always start with a bareback pad. It's lighter, but simulates a saddle by position as well as needing to be strapped on. What I like most is it doesn't need to be crazy tight to stay on.
Wait, hey. Tucker. Stop now. Move. You wanna look at it or you don't care? He's like, I don't care about any of that.
Now, if he had wanted to look at it, I would have spent as much time as necessary allowing him to explore the thing that I'm about to ask him to let me strap on him.
Wait, stand. So now it's just going to be important that I teach him to stand still and that he's not allowed to just kind of wander off and do his own thing anymore. Which is kind of what he's used to being allowed to do. Hey, stand.
Even though he has never formally been taught the definition of the word stand before this moment, I am offering him all the right components to teach it to him in the time I need it. I usually teach things like the stand as an individual exercise and then apply it.
So he's never had anything buckled under his belly before. What is that? So I'm kind of relying on his acceptance of everything I do to him, where I'm actually not taking all the steps that I would if he was new to me and I knew nothing about what he's already been exposed to, but I know that he's not new to me and I know kind of his acceptance of new things. I'm not really worried about his first feel of that. Ask him to walk off.
My trot cue is 2 kisses. Once I initiate the kiss cue, I continue to offer it in a rhythmic pattern until they pick up the trot. Even 1 trot stride will get me to stop kissing, but failure to continue to trot will turn the cue on again. In a case like this, where he stops, I still activate the trot cue because that was the last thing I asked of him. He stopped without being asked to, so he needs to go back into the trot straight away. If I just start over at the walk, I create a gray area on how important the trot really was to me. Ideally, I would try to get ahead of him breaking down into the walk by simply offering a single kiss. That single kiss is a bit like a reminder that he needs to stay trotting. If, however, he breaks before I can help him not to, I have to offer the full 2 kisses again.
Is this because he has something new on him, or he's just being lazy today?
A lot of this is new to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the not wanting to go is like more so because of the bareback pad than him just being lazy today.
Well,
I don't know how he normally is. I don't.
No, he's kind of like a do whatever I want, maybe this guy. So it's going to be important that I get all my go cues. You're a good boy.
I taught my baby that, and now she just like runs me over sideways. And I'm like, okay, that's overachiever.
Yeah, like I haven't taught Oopie that because I don't trust Oopie won't decide to kick me. So Oopie hasn't learned the over yet.
Oopie is a different baby who likes to communicate through kicking, so I won't teach him the over command until he gets through that stage.
Good.
Usually I like to stand in one spot when I ask them to circle me. However, in this case, my traveling with him is helping him figure out what I want with less stall. Every time he stalls, my pushing on him is a little too much pressure and is being perceived as mild aggression under this circumstance. Here, I stop him, as it was my idea. I wanted him to understand that he needed to trot until I gave him further instructions. Once he maintained the trot, even only for a small distance, I could ask for the stop and help him understand that stopping just needed to be my idea. It's important to send them in both directions. Horses don't transfer the information they saw in their right eye automatically to their left. They could go beautifully to the left, seeing and accepting everything going on outside of the arena in their right eye. But when you turn them to see it all out of the left eye, they might find things scary, even if they just pass the same things 10 times the other way.
Good boy.
Again, I stopped him when I could be clear that it was my idea. I don't take their decision to stop and just go with it. Not even if they stopped right where I was thinking about asking them to. I would ask them to trot again and then ask them to stop. Since this was a planned first saddling session, I plan to swap the bareback pad with the saddle. Some horses don't meet the saddle until I've completed all their firsts. Since I start horses bareback, I usually do all their firsts with the bareback pad and just introduce the saddle later. Typically, I would fast forward through this part so you don't have to watch me take a saddle off. However, I wanted to show that this is an opportunity to work on his education about needing to stand still during the saddling and unsaddling process. I also wanted to point out that I think that it's important that you allow them to explore the equipment. I don't think it's fair to ask them to let us put things on them, strap things around them, and not let them at least see what it is. I do stay aware of what he's doing in his exploration, though, so he doesn't grab the cinch and pull the pad off. I'd want to know to expect any potential spook.
Yeah. Let's see this. What is that?
I offer him to explore what I'm holding. However, I don't shove it down his throat and insist that he looks if he just doesn't care.
Now, would you typically transition that quickly from bareback pad to saddle?
No, I usually do everything with the bareback pad. Do my first rides and everything with the bareback pad, but because he didn't really have any issues with that, I'm like, let's do something that's going to be a little bit scarier so we can work through it.
Okay.
I'm not like, oh, I should do what I can to scare him. It's not really, but because there's going to be more he's going to need to learn, and he's going through this easy, I'm going to go ahead and just move him along. I never hold them back. So if I can move him along, I will. Hey. I mean, there's holes you can see in his go cues and stuff like that. So he needs a little more work on the go stuff. Come here. Come up here. Come here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the stirrups down and I'm going to slap them on the sides of the saddle, not on him, on the sides of the saddle, with the intention of making quite a bit of noise. And I'm going to teach him about spooking in place through doing that. But I'm going to go ahead and ask him to move first with this on. Make sure that the new pinch of this one doesn't create a different reaction than the bareback pad did. So the last thing I said was trot, so until he trots again, I'm not done telling him what to do. Single kiss means keep trotting. If he breaks, goes back up to the double kiss. Nope. Listen. Good.
So that's exactly why I asked them to hind yield to a stop. It will cause them to kind of fold around the cinch, maybe even causing it to pinch. If they are going to find anything uncomfortable or scary about the saddle, I want to expose and help them with it before I even think about climbing into the saddle.
I was just going to tell you to stop, too. So you get to go again. Good. I'm not doing that again, though. Sorry. Nope. Driving forward so he doesn't think he's going to do that again.
Horses are pattern animals. Where he blew up once is where he'll likely repeat the explosion multiple times. My goal is to drive him past that new fun place to have a bounce and wipe out the pattern.
Now I'm going to yield you and you're going to stay with me and not go over there. That's right. That's right. So he found his buck in the middle of all that, so I'm going to go ahead and ask him to trot this way, see if he finds his buck from this side too. We don't want him to. But there it is. I yield.
The reason I slap the stirrup leathers against the saddle during the starting process is because I want horses to have all experiences with a saddle that could potentially cause them to blow up. I have had a horse take me too close to a fence and cause my stirrup to pull back and hit the side of the saddle. I have had a horse take me too close to brush on a trail ride and the same thing happened. I would prefer to simulate that experience well before I ever climb in the saddle.
Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually slap the stirrup in hopes that I can get him to stand still.
I want to be able to slap the stirrup 3 times without the horse moving at all. If they don't move, I move on, because if you slap it more than 3 times and they haven't been moving, you could potentially make them think that's the wrong answer, and then they'll start moving in an honest effort to try to find another answer. See why I do this before I climb up there? I wouldn't want the first time he hears a saddle noise be with me on him. Let's get him confident that it's not going to hurt him before we sit on him.
I had to run with him because my hand was caught in the line. Wasn't expecting you to do that. No, you're doing a few things I'm not expecting you to do. So standing still gives an answer he needs to find, and that's when this will stop. My hand behind me is just to make sure I can hold his head turned. So if he goes to kick, he kicks out, not on me. When he stops moving his feet completely, I'll stop doing this. And all of a sudden your brother is your biggest concern.
Joey, his brother, was definitely not helping matters.
You don't have to trot. You don't have to trot. Good. Brother, stop calling. So one thing I was thinking about doing, I've used a poncho, I've tied a poncho to a saddle before. I brought out these pool noodles. I really don't know how I'm going to fasten them. How can you ride with a pool noodle? I'm not sure.
There you go.
He's more worried about his brother. He hasn't even noticed it yet. Now he noticed it. Move out. Move out. Makes a noise too, huh? Good. Go. funny rider. She's a little pace on it.
It's almost like one of those little dancing men.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Trot. Good. It's the first time I've ever supported his go cue by touching him to drive him forward. So that's why he's acting like, how dare you hit me? Because he's never experienced that before. That looks a little obscene. So if you're going to put something on your saddle like that, you want to be the one that's on the inside of there. So if he's going to jump away from it, he's not going to jump in on you. Out. Good boy. I feel like there's another buck in there somewhere. And high yield. Good job. Good job. Wait. Don't. You'll make your brother call back. So obviously before I ride him, I need him to know how to bend to his elbow and not move his feet. Bend to your elbow, don't move your feet. Bend to your elbow, don't move your feet. So that doesn't count now. So now I have to go back and do it 3 more times. So bend your elbow, bend your nose to your elbow, don't move your feet. And that's the beginning of my emergency brake, my one rein stop. Bend your elbow, don't move your feet. And as long as it looks the same from in the saddle, I shouldn't have any trouble getting him to know to stop. If we're in a situation, I do it on both sides for lateral flexion, but I don't do it as the intended emergency stop. Bend your elbow, don't move your feet. Bend to your elbow, don't move your feet. Release when he stops moving. Bend to your elbow, don't move your feet. So now we gotta start at 0 again. When he stops moving his feet, I'll give him his head back. Bend your elbow, don't move your feet. Bend your elbow, don't move your feet. Good. Good. Then I take him for a little walk, which I call washing it off. Let him kind of process what that was. Because now I'm going to ask him to do something different. Starting with the bend to your elbow, don't move your feet. I'm going to ask him to do a direct rein turn, only moving his front feet. So I'm going to bend him to his elbow with him not moving his feet. And then I'm going to take my hand off his body. Don't move your feet. Take my hand off his body, and now I want his front feet to move. Bend to your elbow. Don't move your feet. Step off. Bend to your elbow, don't move your feet. Step off.
When you want him to then step off, do you do a kiss or no?
No, because I'm actually not asking him to walk.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I'm only asking him to actually step like off to his side.
Okay.
If I was asking him to walk, then I'd also plan on giving him the line.
Okay.
Yeah, so thank you for asking. Bend to the elbow, don't move your feet. Step off. You notice I'll drop the line as soon as I get that step. I just want him to know I'm trying to talk to his front feet.
Okay.
Bend to the elbow. Step off. If he walks, I don't care. I'm not going to punish him for it. I just need the message to get to the front feet, that I'm asking front feet to do something. Bend to the elbow. Don't move your feet. Step off. So that's your direct rein being installed. Your front end steering. Bend to the elbow. Step off. Bend to your elbow. So this is close to his body, and then step off. And I do them in threes. I'm undecided if I'm going to do the hind heel 2, which is my indirect rein. Sometimes that gets a little more confusing. But if your one rein stop isn't working, you're going to want your indirect rein to be working so that you can shut the motor down. Do it on the other side. So now I'm going to bend to the elbow. Don't move your feet. And then I'm going to take my rein up to the pommel of the saddle. I'm going to ask him to heel his hind end only. So I'm going to look for the hind feet to engage and the front feet stay still. The only reason his front feet should move is just to balance himself. So bend to the elbow, don't move your feet. Now I'm going to bring it up here, and now I'm going to wait for his hind end to do something. So now his hind end should be what gets engaged. I'm just going to wait on him. I could, if I wanted to, give him a little tap, like if I was riding him and I was looking for the hind end, I would give him a little poke with my heel maybe to say, hey, disengage his hind end. Let him loose when he's done so he knows he got the right answer. You're stepping right on my snap, aren't you? Bend to your elbow, don't move your feet. Because they're so similar, hind end is why sometimes I don't do it all the same day. Because then sometimes when you bend them to their elbow, they're like, oh, I know that one. And they immediately disengage. And then you got to kind of say, hey, I know it looked the same, but it is actually different.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't always go straight to the disengagement in the first lesson of rein cues. But he's quite the superstar today. So he's kind of rolling right through everything. Bend to your elbow, don't move your feet. Disengage. So I'm going to ask for a better disengagement. I'm not even going to go for there. I wasn't going to do the whole bend your elbow. I just wanted a cleaner disengagement. Before I stop being as interesting as his brother, I'll get back at it. If I wait too long, he's going to be like, hey, where's my brother? Bend your elbow, don't move your feet. Good. Because he moved his feet so much, I wouldn't go to asking for the hindquarters, because then I'm saying, you were right the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Say, no, remember this? This is just don't move our feet. Remember this? Good. I'm actually impressed because I did this slapped his side and he went, oh. Like you thought you were going to be told to do something. My baby. First baby born here. So also my backup, I teach my backup to all my horses as a wiggle on a line. I don't know if I didn't post it yet. You wouldn't have seen it. I'm changing my backup cue from just a wiggle and back to a shush that gets louder. So like say a beach ball has a leak in it somewhere, you can't find the hole. So you hear the hiss, but then when you want to find the hole, you might squeeze it harder so the hiss will get louder.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm changing my backup cues to a quiet hiss that turns into a big burst of air with a support on the chest if he doesn't stop. But I also want to always have my wiggle because my backup cue uses that. So I don't pull back for backup. I make it look exactly, I need his head straight. I make it look exactly as it would if I was wiggling on the line. on the ground. Where if you only pull your horse around, well, yeah, then you are going to be planting yourself in your stirrups and pulling back on your horse. Where if you get something as simple as just bumping the line, you'll get a really nice backup. Try to make all my cues on the ground translating to the saddle easily. Whoa, you got a bug on you? Crazy. So when you plan on getting on them for the first time, or really for most of your rides, you should do it, is you want their head bent slightly this way, the direction of. So if you had to, you can spin them around, and you're going to spin their hind end away from you, not on you. If I held him straight, he could go ahead. Or if I bent his head the other way, I could spin him right on top of me. So I don't even usually care what that other rein's doing at all, as long as I have his nose bent towards me.
And if you were to move while you're doing that, would you just like kind of stay standing up in the stirrup until he stops?
I would try not to get down.
Okay.
So usually on first saddlings, I'll take it off. I may not re-girth the whole thing, but I always put it back on. I really don't. He's a lot like Ritz, where I've had him since the beginning, so nothing I do to him he feels is going to hurt him. So I really don't have any reason to believe he's going to suddenly go, oh my God, saddle, saddle. I mean, if this isn't proof of starting him young, everything you do to him prepares him for these moments. He's never had a saddle on his back before. He's never had me try to jump on top of him before. Well, no, he's never had me try to climb on the side of him into a saddle before. Here. But if I was to evaluate that session, I'd be like, well, your go cues aren't all that great. Which probably means your hoe cues aren't all that great. So if I was to start planning on actually climbing on him and asking him to do anything besides accept me as a rider, me on his back, I would want to make sure I reestablish or install, if it's not installed properly, install the go cues. Even though he seemed to get it at the end, I would say that they were not solid enough to make that a safe first ride. I was thinking about doing that. I see it. It's just a regular fly. Wow, you're gonna be that sensitive to just flies? I see it. So we've already done this stuff. Oh. But even though I think I could confidently climb on him, I don't think I have well enough established goes. Where I think it's like my mistake I made with Dewey. I just trusted him. I could just zip through everything.
Mm-hmm.
And Dewey said, yeah, but I might still prove to be a horse and afraid of something, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that was my big mistake. I always turn them loose after a session. If they want to learn that they can roll after a session, that I let them do that. I let them graze, or, you know, weed whack would be really nice. Roll. But, you know, I got to learn something from my accident with Dewey. Like, just because I think they love me so much, so I can do anything to them. They're still horses. They're still flight animals. Yeah, so walking away, I know that my walk cue seemed to be questioned. My trot cue seemed to be almost by default, like he just did it because they pushed him hard enough for him to break into the trot. Now, at the end, I double kissed him to pick trot, but I don't want to have to do an entire session all the time to get him to respond to a trot cue that he should automatically. Like Katie and Tyson, I was coming across my road. My horses, I had my barn on this side and my acreage on this side, and then I had 15 acres across the street as well. So we had to go across the street to come in from turnout. I lived at a 4-way stop sign. There's this man who drove a Mustang who always wanted to see how fast that Mustang could go when he came off that stop sign. And he would go past where I crossed. And he came around that corner, and I was just casually walking my 2 horses in, and when I heard the engine, as he came around that corner, I double kissed. My horses didn't think twice. Picked up the trot, and we ran across the road. I need them to have that snappy of a response. Like, it's just like, that means press the gas.
Yeah.